If I have problems, I'll just come back on.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. Time to talk about Quantum Leap, Episode 6, Like an
Yeah,
Earthquake. I'm here with Commodore Boone on his cell phone. How you doing?
Commodore Boone here. I'm still chopping leaves right on the lawnmower, and you can't
Yes,
hear the
yes.
lawnmower. I got a special headset, but I listened to that episode about 4 times already. It was really interesting.
Yeah, it was once again another very good episode. This
Oh yeah,
episode obviously gave us a little bit of focus on this new leaper, and we did get that in some of the subplot as well. But we also got a lot of focus on a particular tragic event that happened in San Francisco in 1989. I believe it was on October 17th,
yep,
1989.
yep.
It was an infamous earthquake where 65 people were killed and thousands of people were injured. It was a very serious event. I'm not sure if you remember it at all, Commodore Boone, the news of it.
I used to watch it. I mean, when the earthquake hit that time, I mean they had it on the TV. I sat there and watched that for hours. I mean, they was taking shipping crates and put them on a big old forklift just to go up to the upper decks or whatever where the cars were driving through, just trying to get the people out.
Yeah,
And of course, you had the gas lines burst and flames over the place. It was really crazy.
yeah. By the looks of this episode, but honestly, things like natural disasters in America
Yeah,
they happen quite often. As somebody from the United Kingdom, the west coast of America seems to be suffering from hurricanes and wildfires, and
oh
well, the
yeah,
east coast suffers from hurricanes, but earthquake seems to be a common occurrence in the west coast of America. So
yep,
I wasn't surprised regarding this, but I never really knew about the devastation too much. But obviously Ben knew because at the beginning of this episode, we do see him. We do see the recap. He's still in the Wild West, and then some
yep,
dude. He looks like a Latino Shia LaBeouf. Um, he recognizes Ben, and says that stop following me. And he kind of threatened Ben to a degree, and then
yes, he
obviously
did.
Ben leaves. Now we never saw where Ben leaped at the end of that particular episode, but we do see obviously where he leaps at the beginning of this episode, and he's in a bar in San Francisco, October 17th, 1989.
Yep,
He's in a guy called John. He's arguing with his host's wife in the bar, and he realizes that on this date, when he looks at the NFL game that's being played, or which ends up not being played because of the earthquake.
right.
Um, he knew that this is a disastrous event's gonna happen, and it happened at 4 minutes past 5, and he looks at the clock, and it's already almost 4 minutes past 5, so he's aware that this is happening any minute now, and I love the way like in every time he leaps, it's like, okay, what the fuck's going on? But this
Yeah,
time around, he's not only trying to figure out what's fucking going on, he's extremely distracted by
yep.
the events of the previous leap because he's what do you call it? He met another leaper who recognized who he was. So
Right, right. But he knew, and he tried to get those people out of that bar, and everyone's like, "What do you mean?" And all of a sudden, everything starts shaking, and they're like, "Let's get the hell out of here." I mean, he tried, but everybody did get out of the bar
yeah,
safely. I hope.
yeah, exactly. He was trying to say. I mean, that's what he
Yep,
does. He's in the same vein as Sam in that particular department. He's just trying to save people.
yep.
So now, and his wife is wondering like, how the hell do you know all of this shit? But back in the present
And
day, we see.
and and of course,
Yeah,
Ben said, "I just knew."
yeah.
Yeah,
Like he had, I remembered.
he remembered.
It's the future, as far as she's concerned. But how the hell do you remember the future? But still,
Yeah, yeah.
um. So Addison, she gets a new tricorder, which is the old model of tricorder, and it looks more and it resembles more of
Oh wow.
what Al used to have. And
Ah,
the time team, like they kind of try to figure out who this guy is. And sorry about the beeping, I do apologize. Trying to
So,
figure out who this guy is, and one of the possibilities of this guy who they want to call Leaper X, but Magic's not really having it. But
right.
one of the possibilities is that this guy he might have leaped from their division, but from the future, which is a real mind fuck.
Which
Because when
is
it comes,
really
yeah,
which is really
sorry,
awesome. I mean, like I said, it could have been 5 years or 10 years in the future.
even 50 years they were saying.
Yeah, even
Obviously,
50. Like,
oh,
wow.
yeah, they find out that might not be the case because they go and visit that guy, which I'll get to in a second. But
Yep.
Ben asks Addison. Oh, sorry, there's some comments here. Let me just quickly go to them. Oh, we have somebody trying to. No, 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 thank you. Blocky block. So Ben asks Addison about his parents because he has a because he's in the body of a father who's going through a divorce and has a son. He
Right.
kind of made him think about his own parents. Now he never really had a relationship with his dad. Now that's something they can easily go back. They can go back to in the future regarding his dad. What the hell does that mean? He never had a relationship with his dad, so he doesn't know if his dad's dead or not. But his mum died whilst he was in high school when he was very young.
Right.
And some of Ben's memory about his mother starts to come back to him very slowly during the course of this
Yes,
episode.
it did.
Like for instance, he came to the USA when he was 9 years old,
Yep.
and then whilst Ben's in this house of his host, he sees pictures of his son and so on, and then Addison and Ben kind of deducts that Jason is there to save. So he's there. Ben is there to save his son Jason, and that's what they have to do because apparently a building's going to drop on Jason's head, so he's got to stop his son from dying.
Yep.
Now, going back to the present day, we do find out as well that this Leaper X, they know what he looks like because it's a bit weird in a way because Ben's in the body of an old person.
Hmm.
Sorry, whoever
Oh
Ben's,
yeah. Yeah.
no, whoever's body he's in, he inhabits their physical attributes, but
Right.
people still see him. Sorry, like the people from the time team, they still see him as Ben. So it's
Right.
not like it was in Quantum Leap. In Quantum Leap, you never like Sam never had the physical attributes of who he was in. He,
Yeah. Interesting.
he but Al would see Sam as the person he's in, if you know what
Right.
I mean.
Right.
So and there's that one episode where Sam was in a double amputee who had lost both his legs, and I can remember Al telling him not to stand up, and to stay
Right.
sitting down because the person he was in had lost both his legs. But later on in that episode, Sam did stand up, but he because he's got his legs in real life, and so that freaked
Uh
out
oh.
everybody else. Do you remember that episode? I'm not sure if you remember it. I remember it. So this is
Uh, kind of vaguely, but I did order Carnival Leaf through eBay. The whole complete series, but for like $20, that's still on its way. I got the whole thing of the old Carnival Leaf coming in. As soon as that came in, I'm gonna start watching all that old stuff.
well, so but
Yeah.
as I said, Sam still had his own personal physical attributes,
Yes.
but he would look to even the people who are in the chamber with him, like Al. He would look like the person he's inhabiting,
Right.
whilst Ben, he doesn't. He has all the physical attributes of the person he's inhabiting, but he still looks like Ben. It's just weird. So yeah. Anyway,
Okay. Weird.
yeah, yeah, very weird. Um,
So
so
that's
this,
why
so
so that's why she told him to kind of settle down. You're supposed to be
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of like
yeah.
old. Just take your time. Gotcha.
And also that's why earlier on in the boxing episode he was in he was
Yeah.
in a very fit body, so he was able to box and stuff like that. So
Yep.
anyway, in this particular the time team knows that they're basically calling the guy the Leaper X, looks like and they have his face and they're able to run it through
Mhm.
facial recognition, and they find out where the dude lives. And Magic and Jen pay Lee Perex a visit. His name is Richard Martinez. He's a sergeant in the Marines,
Right.
and he seems to be a patriotic guy after like having a few questions with him and talking to him and stuff like that. But he also seems to
Mhm.
be very clueless, and trying to pair him up with what happened in the Old West. It doesn't seem
Uh,
to be very possible at this moment in time. But Magic wants Jen to find out more about him.
mhm.
Anything you deducted from that?
That was pretty interesting how they did that. Now how they got the image and everything, and of course tracked him down. And of course they told Magic it might take a week or so, and he said, "I can't wait that long."
And it just so
And
happens they got him.
yeah, and all of a sudden, bing, 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 there's the picture, and the guy said, how, how did you do that?" "Well, it's magic." "Okay."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
So Ben basically understand why his host and his wife want to divorce. They made a move. You know, they used to live in Oakland, now they live in San Francisco, and because of
right,
that, um, because of that, they it kind of like separated the family a little bit. His wife, I think she's a doctor. She's very busy all the time. So it's kind of separated the family to a degree. You know, the son wasn't seeing much of his mother and all of that.
mhm,
Now they see as they Ben and his host wife are heading towards where their son would be. They come across a car that is broken down, and there's some people trying to struggle in there, trying to get out and stuff like that. Kind of reminded me of that scene from Superman 3 at the beginning of the film.
right,
Um,
right, right.
and there's a transformer high up. If it falls down, the
Yeah,
people on the ground are going to get electrocuted. But Ben's on a
yeah,
car which is on tires, so he'll be fine. But he managed to save those people, but the transformer does fall down, and because his wife is near water, she gets electrocuted.
yep,
And this is a really good scene because we see Addison teaching Ben CPR and stuff like
yep,
that, and she's using the hologram technology, built within a tricorder, and obviously Ben understands how to
right,
resuscitate his host wife and all of that. And while all of this is happening, um, he gets more flashbacks about his
yep,
mother and
yep,
so on. And this is the thing because I watched this scene several times. When after Ben saved his host wife, and then he goes on his own but she's like kind of she's alive, but she's a bit incapacitated, so he's on his own now to go and save his son. Addison tells him, "What the hell happened with your mother? I want to know." And Ben
right,
mentioned some sort of brain thing. I couldn't even hear the word properly, brain something. But apparently his mother got really upset with him because he came home one day with bees, on his report card.
yeah. D's,
Just all
all
bees,
D's.
all B's. You know what I mean? And like this guy's a straight A student. Fair enough. She's pissed off that he only got B's, but he did that as a sort of like rebellion against his mother. He could have got A's if he wanted to, but he did it
Right.
as rebellion. Yeah, and
The reason the reason he did that was because he got tired of everyone telling him how special he was. So he figured,
exactly, yeah,
okay, I'll go ahead and give you some bad marks, Mom. And Mom's like, "Oh man, really?"
yeah, good point, exactly.
Yep, yep,
And him and his mum had an argument, and next
yep.
thing you know, like his mum kills herself or something like that. I mean, I'm not
I
hundred
don't
percent
know
sure.
why, but she did.
Yeah, like something happened that caused her to
Yep,
die. Like,
yeah,
oh my god, my son's got bees. The world has to end.
yeah. That's crazy.
Like, oh my
But
genius son got some
but
bees. Oh
but
no,
that's
we're
the
not
way it
gonna
goes,
get a
I guess.
matching.
Yep,
Yeah, exactly. But she took her own life. So as a time team trying to figure out more about Martinez, Ian
yep.
wonders if they've created a paradox now, because they're wondering if that the events they've just done today, where they've gone to visit Martinez, has basically created a chain of events that will lead him to end up being a time traveler in the future. You
Mhm.
know, maybe if they didn't visit Martinez, then this wouldn't have happened. But because they visited Martinez, Now, who knows what will happen in the future?
Who
And
knows?
this obviously makes people their brains hurts again, having to think about all of this, about paradoxes and stuff like that.
Right.
So later on, as finally Ben arrives at his host's old apartment, his son is okay. He's standing outside, but his son wants to go back into the building to save this old guy. And Ben decides, look, I'm going to go in there because Ben doesn't want his host son to go in there because he knows that his host son dies. So he makes his son make a promise, and then Ben goes in there and he saves the old man. But then Ben obviously gets stuck on some debris from the building that keeps us
Yep. He
down.
gets knocked out. Yep.
But then if his son comes in, and now shit's really hitting the fan because his son's was supposed to die in that building, so Ben has to force him and his son to get the debris off him. And by the way, at
Yep.
this particular time, Ziggy is giving Ben just a 30% chance of surviving this
Yep.
if he went inside the building. Now, when you give you like 30-40%, that's usually good enough. You know what I
That's
mean?
that's a low
Yeah,
percentage, man. That's low.
yeah. I remember in one episode of the original Quantum Leap, like there was this fork in the road, and I think Sam's character was supposed to save this girl, and there was
Uh
like a
huh.
62% one direction, 38% the other direction, and Sam went with the 38% route. Even though it was the lower percentage and it was the right route.
Right.
So yeah, it happens now and again.
I guess.
But once they get out the building, this him and his host son, they get out the building and everything seems to be hunky dory. They all hug and make up and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It hasn't completed Ben's quest into leaping because he hasn't leapt. So
Yeah.
he realizes it's not just about saving his son's life; it's about rekindling the relationship between his wife and his son. And
Right.
so they do that. And you know, his son and his wife, they make up. They're gonna be together and all of that. And then we find out this is the bit which I like the most sometimes about. Oh, I do like it on many occasions when you find out that what Ben has done or what Sam has done in previous quantum leaps
Mhm.
by fixing the timeline and not letting a tragedy happen. They've done so much good in the world, and this kid, Jason, he will grow up to be a structural engineer regarding earthquakes, making buildings that are more like earthquake proof. And
Not.
what he does, basically saves thousands of lives.
Yep.
So that's
A
the
lot.
why. Yeah, so it's so important to save this kid because he would be a savior when it comes to buildings and stuff like that in the future.
Yep.
Now Ben
Safer too.
Now, Ben doesn't have much time left because he hears some phone rings and he thinks to himself, damn, I can save my mother if I just give her a call right now. He gets the phone number of Addison, who was reluctant to
Yep.
give it to him initially. And he wants to call his mum because he knows that his mum's still alive in 1989, wants to make sure that
Right.
his mum doesn't die. Calls his mum, and just as soon as he hears his mum's voice, he leaps. I knew
He
that was
believes.
going to
Yep.
happen. I knew that was going to happen. He even says mother. I think he says mom. You know what I mean? And then he leaps. and
That
and
was a touching moment for me because I lost
yeah,
my mother last year, and I wish I could hear her voice one more time.
yeah, I know how you feel, my friend.
Yeah.
I lo-
Yeah.
I lost my mother not 8.5 sorry 9.5 years ago now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's if we all wish that we could just have another moment
Yes.
with them, you know
You're
what I
right.
mean? Be more prepared. It's not great when that happens. But basically Ian is also so that's happened. So now Ben's leaping into a new body. I'll get to that in a second. Ian's
Yep.
basically deducted that after encountering Martinez, Ben might not necessarily be trying to travel back into time. He might be trying to travel into the
Future.
future.
Yes, sir.
Something that's not really ever been done in Quantum Leap before, and it's been deemed as impossible. But Ian basically tells Magic, listen, mate, time travel was deemed as impossible, but we did it. There's nothing
Right.
saying that going into the future will be impossible. And someone like
Yep.
Ben, who's super smart, might be able to do it. And so basically, Magic tells him, "Okay, get on with it. Investigate some more."
Right.
Um, and then Addison and Jen have a bit of girl talk, and she basically confesses to Jen, "Look, I think I'm falling more in love with Ben than I usually am, because
Hmm.
I'm seeing a vulnerability from him. Emotions from him, something I never really saw from him when we were together. But because of all
Right.
the sleeping, he's seeing a different side to him, and this is making her feel more affection for him than she's ever felt before.
Yeah.
And because of that, they decide to watch Real Housewives and get a takeaway. Okay, so so
Yeah. Yeah. But old Ben's getting more softer, more gentle, more of a caring person, and that's what she likes about him.
I always thought that element was part of him anyway. When we found out he didn't like
Yeah.
like guns and stuff like that. But anyway, Ben leaps
I don't
into
know.
a priest called Father Davenport, and Father Davenport seems to be a priest from the 1930s by the look of the decor and the cars driving by, and it also happens to be Halloween, which is not surprising
Uh
because this
huh.
episode this episode will come out on Halloween next week. So it's very clever of them to do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but this episode
That's
comes out on Mondays, it doesn't it? So
that's why I heard Halloween music in the background. Like, oh,
mm.
it's gonna get spooky next
so
time.
he looks like he's in this sort of small town, suburban town, but in the 1930s, kids are trick or treating, and
Yep.
he looks like a priest. He's got the dog collar and everything,
Wow.
and he knocks on. He just happens to be at this door in front of a house, and it seems like his previous the host, before he leaped into the host, had already knocked on the door, because then somebody answers the door, and it's these two
Yep.
maids, and they go to him, "Welcome, Father Davenport. We may still have time, or it might not be too late, or something like that." And then they let him come into the building, and then they close the door, and the door. By the way, the door number is 669. But then
Oh
the
man.
but then the nine falls down and turns into a six, so it
Ah,
looks like 666.
shit.
So now now, even though this seems like a horror episode, I think it's going to be played for laughs next week. I
Yeah,
really,
probably
I
so.
really do. I think there's going to be a very comical element to it. Obviously, there's going to be that serious moment too, but I just feel with the way the nine turned into a six and all of that, and this
Wow.
being Halloween, because Halloween, even though it's supposed to be spooky and scary,
Oh yeah.
it's
Yep.
also funny as well. You know what I mean? And I feel they might want a bit of levity as well, because they've had some serious episodes recently, so maybe they want to play this one for laughs. And so I that might be that. I do believe, if you just forgive me for a second, I'm just going to quickly check Quantum Leap 2022 episodes. Yes, there will be another episode. There'll
Yep.
be one more. Oh, ye of little faith. Yeah,
All
Ben
right.
leaps into it. Spoilers ahead a little bit. Ben leaps into a priest who has been called to assist a family in crisis on Halloween night, as he delves
Mm-hmm.
into a mysterious, inexplicable, and explicable. Sorry, anyway, I can't say that word. Events, and he's forced to muster all the resources as a scientist before time runs out.
Oh boy.
So, yeah, that's what he's doing next week. So
Interesting episode.
it's funny, like this show, Quantum Leap, got 53% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm just going to Rotten
Huh?
Tomatoes myself. Oh my god! You know, the average score on the critics is 50%, and the audience score is 52%. You
Wow.
know,
That's good.
which which is 52% is not that great. It's just above average. But the point is
Cool.
it should be better in my opinion. It
Yeah.
should be a lot. It should be a lot better than that, because I'm thoroughly enjoying this show. But I guess because of I, I guess the show, because it has like certain attributes that are towards progressive, being progressive, and it's very
Right.
you have a transgender character in there as well, and you have a character who's quite passive, who's anti-gun. This shit's gonna piss off a lot of people to a degree. I
Yeah,
mean,
probably so.
the
Yep.
main character is Asian, for fuck's sake, whilst Sam Beckett was white, and people get pissed off with that. You should just see how it is in my country right now. Our new prime minister is Indian like me, brown like me, same race
Uh-huh.
as me. Yeah, he's a fucking Tory. He's a conservative. You know, he might as well be considered a Republican as far as your country is concerned. You know, he's on the right wing. He mentions things about being woke and stuff like that. He's all the very things that that a right wing voter would want in their leader. But he's
Yep.
brown like me, and so now there's a lot of people who are very conflicted, who are Tory voters, who tend to vote on xenophobic issues. You know, because they don't give a shit. They absolutely don't give a shit if if the Tories took away everything they owned and left them homeless. They will still vote for them because
Right.
they want to vote for the xenophobic party, and now their leader is brown. He's Indian, like me. Like, it's a conflict now is there. It's fucking fantastic. You know what I mean? But screw my prime minister. He's a fucking dickhead. I think he does it, which is sad. It's sad that good content get wrapped up and stupid stuff like that. Yeah, I totally agree. You know, like any. By the way, you should sort out your sound, Commodore Boone. I think your headset's not working. I'm not sure if Boone can hear me, but yeah. Oh, Boone's gone. Okay, yeah, I do agree. I mean, like some inclusivity, being inclusive seems to be something that a lot of people really hate for some reason. How dare you be inclusive? How dare you have a transgender character? You know what? People are saying that because they have issues with the transgender people, and it's not. It shouldn't be. That shouldn't be the case. You know, Ian's a good character. I do enjoy Ian, but I know just this person, this non-binary character, is going to piss people off because they hate the fact that they have to acknowledge that people like this exist, and it's a shame. It really is a shame that we live in a world like that. You know, here we go. Here's Commodore Boone.
Yeah,
Welcome back.
sorry. My cotton picking headset shut down in 3 hours. Yeah, so I had
No,
to reset it, but we're back. Sorry about that.
no problem. No, I'll just mention that some people just have an issue with this show because they have an Asian lead, and a non-binary transgender character. You know, the boss is black. You know, there's no actual white male
Yeah.
characters in the main cast. I mean, apart from Ian, but they are transgendered, so people have an issue with all of this, and it is a shame that we live in a world like this where like people who are not an issue to them happen to be an issue because they don't fit the status quo, and unfortunately that's the world we live in. And we should be a lot better than that, but that's
Yeah.
how it is. That's how.
Everybody judges everybody. I mean, you got to see the people judging me when I'm out here mulching leaves in the dark. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. It's just, it's just that I just thought that it's Winston Zedmore. You're damn right. And Ernie Hudson is a fantastic actor, by the way.
Yeah.
Tremendous. Have you seen him? You seen him in Congo? My God, he's one of the few Americans who can do a proper British accent. His British accent in Congo is fantastic.
Yeah.
I rather have Ernie Hudson playing Don Cheadle's character in the Ocean's movies than fucking Don Cheadle because at least Ernie Hudson can do a bloody British accent. He was fantastic in Hand That Rocks the Cradle, where he plays a guy with autism or something like that.
Right.
That big sort of gardener. Who's got like mental disabilities and stuff like that.
Mm.
He was great in that. He's such a good actor, and it was so good to see him. Back in in Ghostbusters Afterlife and all of that. Yeah, everyone loves Ernie Hudson. If he hasn't got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, he fucking deserves one. Guy's a legend and superb actor.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, he's the star power that the show needs, and I just like him as the character of Magic. He's really good. He plays an admiral on that show as
Oh,
well, and he's very much grounded. He grounds the show, and I do like it. So yeah,
oh, he's
um,
he's he's great at that.
yeah, he's great. But
Yep.
yeah, we're gonna get one more episode until the mid-season finale, and then they can bloody
Cool.
film the rest of these goddamn episodes. And
Can't wait.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. A nice
Yep.
Halloween episode to maybe tickle our feathers a little bit. to give us a bit of a laugh. Hopefully, we'll see how it goes. But once again, they cram a lot in 40 minutes. They really do. And
Yeah, they do.
this was also a decent episode. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the best. I mean, you wanted to find out more about this Martinez character, and we did, but we still don't know anything at the same time. Yeah.
Well, he's kind of a mystery person right now, but I bet you in
Yeah.
season 2 we'll find out more about that guy.
I don't know how many actors from TNG have or even the TOS series as well have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but they all fucking need one
Yeah.
because the TOS stars and TNG stars they led the way because people
Yep.
forget TNG like carried the torch that TOS
Oh
initially
yeah.
had, and they like it was like 20 years later they continued with TNG TOS left off,
Yep.
and that torch burnt bright. It really did, and it reminded people about TOS as well, like it did exist because
Mhm.
only 3 seasons of TOS, and it left a massive legacy, and it was so good that it was able to continue. And same with this show too, like like every time Scott Bakula does a Star Trek convention, you know what they talk, what the fans ask him? The fans always
They
ask him about fucking
they
quantum
ask
leap.
him by quantum leap.
All the time, all the fucking time. He hardly ever talks about Enterprise. Maybe because Cheetah won't like this. Maybe because
Yeah.
Enterprise is shit. But regardless, no, I'm saying that tongue in cheek. But they always never ask him any questions. They never ask
Yep.
him any questions on fucking
Wow.
on Enterprise or Star Trek. It's always Quantum
Amazing.
Leap.
Yeah.
Yeah, DS9 too. They all did phenomenally, and yes, I know 2 of DS9 are TNG characters.
Yep.
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, just like when you've got people who've done like several seasons, even 4 seasons before Enterprise and stuff, like that they're leaving a legacy, in the universe, in the world, which is highly appreciated by millions of people who like
Oh
to
yeah.
replicate that, like yourself, Commodore Boone, as well as people like Vance and other people that we know of who like to
Right.
replicate Star Trek material. Star Trek is very popular
Yep.
with all manners of people. Like they love it. I love it. We all love it. It's some of the best stuff ever made, and it makes you want a better future for our world. So
Well,
yeah, they're not
well
happy about
that
that.
well that's why a lot of us do fan films to keep Star Trek alive too.
Exactly. It just concerns
Yep.
me. It just concerns me with the way the world is going. I do
Yeah, I
worry,
know.
I do worry that we're not going to get the future that we want because there's too many people who want us to go backwards.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that there are people out there who don't want us to go backwards. But you know what the problem is? Not enough people vote, and the bad people tend to vote,
Yep.
and the good people are the people who might be on the right side of history, can't be bothered to vote. They're too busy, playing on their social media accounts or video games, and they're not
Yep.
fucking voting. And then unfortunately, all these terrible people come into power because the good people don't vote. So yeah,
Yeah. I
that's
know.
yeah, that's one of the problems we have at this moment in time. Anyway, look, enough
Yeah.
politics. Enough Star Trek is a
Yeah.
quantum leap. Um, thing. I'm going to give this episode a. This is going to be probably one of my weaker. Don't worry, I did enjoy this episode, but I'm not going to give it like the greatest mark ever. I think I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. How about yourself?
Yeah. Since I listened to it and I didn't see it, I would probably give it a probably good 8. But as soon as I get home, I'm going to watch that sucker over again.
Yeah, I just feel like I wanted a few more answers, but we ended up getting more
Yeah.
questions, which is fair enough. You know, um, Maybe we do need to expand, the story in a way, but the reveal last week of another leaper who is somebody that they came across this week and who doesn't even realize what his destiny might be in the future. It's just absolutely fascinating in that sense, but nothing was really revealed. So we'll
Right.
see. We'll see what happens in future episodes. But yeah, I am very much enjoying myself with Quantum Leap, and I can't wait for the next episodes, and I can't wait for the episodes they film
Yeah.
after this. It's going to be good fun. It really is. This is like, I don't know if there's any other time traveling episode shows on television right now, but this is the best one, if there is
That's
one. It's one
about
of
the
the
only
best,
one. Yeah.
and I'm not sure what sort of science fiction shows are on TV right now. But this is one of the better ones in my opinion as well. It's short, sweet, to the point, does the
Yep.
job, and it does a good job replicating the previous Quantum Leap and giving
It
us
sure does. Yep.
giving us a different dimension to it as well with the current day storyline, which is something that I initially wasn't fond of, but now I'm fully on board with. Fully on board with. I like the modern day storyline too. So yeah.
Yep. It's great.
And you gave it an 8. You said, Commodore.
Well, it's a great show. I mean, everything I've seen so far, I'm just hoping that the second season is going to get more interesting. But I can't wait until next week till we see the scary episode. Oh.
Yeah, scary, but we'll see if it's funny as well. But yeah, it could be like a wizard of, it could be like a Wizard of Oz situation where there's somebody pulling the strings and trying to make things look haunting when it really isn't. So it could go down that particular route. Anyway,
it also could be, since they answered the door and said there still might be time. Maybe that person is possessed. And
I'm thinking exorcism.
And he's there to get the sucker out of that person. But I guess we'll find out next week.
Yeah, exorcism did come into my mind regarding.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I've seen. Like I'm not. You know me. I'm not a religious person. So when I saw an exorcism once in my own school, a long time ago, and it was my stupidest fucking shit. But it was so fucking stupid. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, like, please, it's just, it's amazing how people can get possessed by the fucking devil, but never by the Holy Ghost or whatever. It's all bollocks. So yeah. Anyway, enough of that. Let me just remind everyone out there in YouTube land not to forget to subscribe to us, and all of that. Sorry, I'm getting a bit tongue tied now. I've had a long day. But yeah, subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. Yeah, take care. Bye-bye. Thank you, Commodore Boone.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Cheers.